Pano. Huh?
Please.
Two second रुको.
Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. We are Team Oro.edu and we are really excited to have you here for this pre-placement talk about Oro.edu. Few house rules. First, please keep yourself on mute. Second, I have shared our YouTube live video. Please go through it and switch there. We will be joining you there live today. I request everybody to join our YouTube live video. It's in the chat. I'll give 3 minutes to do that. Okay. So, hello, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Oro.edu
evening,
is
ma'am.
an innovative player in the edtech space. Over the next few minutes, we will give you an insight look into who we are, what we do, and most importantly, how you can be part of our growing journey. As a company, we thrive in a dynamic, fast paced environment. Our founders are always on the move. And since we are a small team, we have been incredibly agile. This means you will be in a space where every team member plays a crucial role. You will take on real responsibilities early on and you will work and your efforts will truly matter to us. However, because of a small size team and tight deadlines, things can get intense. So you'll need to be quick on your toes and be very adaptable. And now we are excited to welcome the heart and soul of Oro.edu, our founders. Their vision and leadership have been the driving force behind everything we have accomplished so far. We are so grateful to have them join us today to share their insights and experience. Their passion and dedication that have truly shaped our journey, and we are lucky to have them here to provide a deeper perspective on where Oro.edu is headed. Founders, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ritu. It's So Amar, are you Amar is our CEO. I'm just wondering if he's been able to connect with if or there's been a glitch in the technology. Is Amar there? Can Ritu, I'm audible, am I?
Yes, sir, you're audible. Yes.
Okay. So shall I go ahead and just give a quick background of myself whilst hopefully Amar joins?
Yes, sir,
Amar
sure.
is okay. Yeah. So Amar is the key man. I'm assisting Amar. I'm a co-founder, but I think the real vision, the real passion for this venture is really come from Amar. So we'll hear from him hopefully if he can sort out his technical issues. But welcome everybody. I just wanted to add to the comments from Ritu there. It's fabulous that you're able to join us. We're very excited about what Oro.edu is doing right now, and what we wanted to do is we'll get a little bit of the vision, a little bit of the idea behind Oro.edu from Omar in a second, but I just want to give you, we thought it'd be quite good just so that you can get a sense of the founders, for us to talk about our backgrounds.
Martin, I'm actually here.
All right, great. Let's over to Omar.
Yeah, so I'll take it from here. But you see me on the video because I'm sharing my screen and my video. Yeah, I think I can. You need to turn your video on and same for.
Hello, everyone. Please, housekeeping rules. Keep yourself on mute. Everyone.
Yeah, guys, if you could get on mute. And actually, Ritu, have you told them they need to move off the
Yes,
team?
I have informed them. They need to join us on our YouTube live video. I have also added the link in our chat.
Yeah, if you could also just maybe turn on your video. I think, Martin, we're still waiting for you to turn on your video. Have you done that?
Yeah, my video is on. Can you not see me?
No, maybe just try and turn it on and off. I can only see myself. I can't see.
Okay, am I visible
Yep.
now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Yeah. That solved it. And I was already. Yeah. Sorry, Abhishek, you're saying something. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Okay, great. All right, guys. Hi. So everyone can see me. So first things first. Just can everyone, just as Ritu said, join the YouTube live stream because that. Yeah, great. So Ritu, yeah. So what I was saying was, before we kick it off, guys, is just everyone needs to actually click on the live YouTube link that Ritu has sent, and she's also just re-tagged it. So I'm just gonna share my screen as well, or you can see it on her chat, right? So do you see on the yeah, so they're asking, shall we leave after joining YouTube live? I think the answer is yes, right, Ritu?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Please, everyone, join our YouTube link. Yes, everyone, we are live again.
Yeah. Okay, guys. I think we're ready to get started. There's a few directions. We were getting a lot of inbound calls because a lot of people have moved from the Teams to the live YouTube. So I think we'll get started. Ritu, just one quick point for you. So we have 28 people who are on the Teams link again, and I think people will keep joining. Even in the next 5-10 minutes. So just keep telling them on the chat after every 5-10 minutes to join the YouTube live stream.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay. All right, guys. So very excited to be with you all. My name is Amar Anand, and I've got here one of my Stanford classmates, Martin Whitehead, who heads up one of our marquee ventures called Oro.edu. A bit of background on myself. So, I grew up in India, went to St. Stephen's College to do my economics honors back in 1996, graduated and went to the London School of Economics for Finance and Economics, and then started my career in 1999 at McKinsey and Company in New York. And McKinsey at the time was basically, where the top 50, the 50% of the CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies came from. So I basically followed one of my clients, which was Citigroup in New York, to the C-suite of Citi in New York, helped run their balance sheet, which was the largest balance sheet at the time. It was $2 trillion for about 5 years. We made a bunch of acquisitions around the world, including HDFC and HDFC Bank in India. That was before most people had heard about HDFC. And then similar deals in Poland with Bank Handlowy, in Turkey with Akbank, in the United States with Household Finance. In Mexico, we acquired Banamex, which was the largest bank in Mexico. So moved on from there to my first Web 2.0 venture. This was back in 2006. We were the first of the top 50 startups in the US. At that time, if you Google me, you will find a video from back then. We were very fortunate to be nominated along with Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook, LinkedIn. Sorry, if actually while we're speaking, if you guys can just stay on mute, and then we'll open it up to questions later. We created one of the first Web 2.0 companies back in 2006, sold that, and then moved into private equity, and then into hedge funds. So 2012 moved to Hong Kong to run one of the largest hedge funds in Asia. So we've been early investors in Uber and Palantir and Alibaba and Tencent, and in India, everything from Flipkart to Snapdeal, to Cardeco, to 1MG, to Domino's Pizza, to IndusInd Bank. We were the largest investors after the Hindujas, et cetera, et cetera. In 2017, we ended up starting our venture studio called Auroville, because we found that a lot of our quants, we had a lot of, we've been hiring from some of the top colleges in India for over a decade, especially from the IITs. So some of the quants started going off from the fund and started, creating startups or joining other startups. So we ended up creating our own venture studio where we funded them to create these companies, and we helped build the organizations and the funding and the capabilities that they needed to be successful in Techland. And that is where Oro.edu was also born. So I'll turn it on to my friend Martin, who heads up Oro.edu. He'll tell you how sort of the initial idea started at Stanford, where we were both sort of unhappy about the sort of World War II style education system that we had across the world, and some of the ideas that we had to innovate and disrupt it. So Martin, over to you.
Great. Am I audible? Hopefully I am.
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Yeah, so no, thanks, Amar. And again, just adding more my welcome to everybody. It's great to I love interacting with the young folks. I mean, as I'll go on to explain, I spent a lot of my career working with new and recent graduates and bringing them through. So I do have a very strong interest in this area. So I'm really delighted to be speaking to you all. So yeah, in a very brief synopsis of my background, it's quite different, I think, to Amar's and complements it in some ways. I initially, I did something very different. I was a physics graduate. I was very much interested in physical sciences. I still am interested in all that area. And that really was a passion. But as I graduated, and in fact, I even did a postgrad in that area, as I graduated, I realized that, a lot of where the work was going and where the better earning potential in a way was in finance, investment, that general area of work. And so I was not from a professional background, so I really didn't understand much about the world of work. But I understood that if you, in my case, if you get a good background training in something like accountancy, then that would open things up, and then you'd learn more, and then you could go into what you really like doing. So that's what I did. I joined Arthur Andersen back in the late 80s in the UK. That was the leading accountancy firm at that time. I became a chartered accountant with them. I qualified. And I very much focused at that time in restructuring, helping companies that were struggling for one reason or another and not run very well, trying to look for non-insolvency restructuring solutions. I found that very interesting. And that got me a little bit into the forensic side of work, looking at where compliance issues were, where controls were weak, where things might be better for enhancing the stability of the company and its controls. And cut long story short, I also wanted to expand my geography. So I took a bit of a leap of faith in '95, went and joined PwC in Southern Africa, then spent pretty much 10 or 12 years ultimately becoming a partner with PwC and heading up in East Africa, ended up in East Africa, worked in Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, a number of countries, Ghana, very much enjoying applying first world thinking and consulting techniques, but in a more developing area. And that's, in a way, that's where I first encountered what Amar's saying is the challenge that we had. I was a partner at PwC. We recruited, our stock in trade really was getting through new graduates from the best universities to come through and join us to become accountants, to become consultants, tax consultants, etc., etc. What we found was there was a lot of bright people, but there was a little bit of a disconnect between what the education system and what they were learning and what we could kind of utilize and apply when we brought them on board. And I found that a bit of a frustration. No question in the ability of people, but we felt that the education somehow wasn't quite connecting with that and preparing them. And it was around then that I got the chance. I wanted to expand my learning again. What I would say is I did do an MBA at INSEAD in '99. But by 2010, I felt a little stale. I wanted to up my learning a bit. And that's when I went to Stanford to do a master's in management. And that's where I met Amar. And in fact, I think Amar was pretty much one of the first guys I met there. We used to go jogging together and we got chatting. And he'd had some similar experiences to me. You know, he was coming more from the strategy consulting side. And he felt he'd experienced some of the same issues I had, which was that there was a bit of a gap. There was a bit of a disconnect between what good, solid, bright graduates were getting from the university and what we could apply in the real world. And that, I think, is where the first seeds of our conversations got going, was how can you kind of help that? Particularly coming from, I was very interested in this coming from my developing countries kind of perspective. And we talked a bit about this and that how that might be improved. I don't think at that time we were thinking of ourselves to come up with a company or an entity that might solve that problem, but we were very aware of it. We then left into doing, I then went and got a bigger role, a better role in Brazil, where I am now. I was a partner at PwC in Brazil, heading up the forensic unit there, which I loved. I love Brazil, again, another developing country, again, a country with a challenge in converting the educational skills, the educational learning into the working environment. And I think that just accelerated my thinking about this. And it's around about sort of 3-4 years ago, I was connecting again with Amar on a couple of other investment ideas. And that's where the germ really rekindled, and we got talking sort of a couple of years ago. And the idea, this coincided with the idea that, well, AI is coming on board now. Could that offer help to us? And we built this up, we built up our thinking, and Amar introduced me to this idea of mastery learning, which is something that's missing from a lot of how people learn, which is that, you know, you've got to really refocus, you've got to really prove your understanding and that it's been internalized before you move on, which is missing from a lot of education. Now people just keep moving on without getting the bedrock of learning. And we, you know, I'm in a country now, and Amar's in a country now where there is a challenge of getting of companies being able to find the right talent. So you've got to disconnect at both ends. You've got getting people with the right skills to be embedded immediately and brought on board immediately in some of these countries, and a lot of countries around the world. But you've also got the problem at the talent at the company end of finding the right people, and that's really where Oro.edu and our thinking has started to develop. So I got involved in that, and so Amar, I'll continue the story, I'm sure. We decided, look, let's put ourselves together. Let's try and solve what is a global problem. This is a global problem. Let's try and solve that and help people get the skills. Let's tweak the system. Let's give them the skills to get them earning. Let's get them into the jobs where they're earning the best they can for the talent they have, and let's bridge that gap. And we think that there's a real societal gain by doing that. A massive societal gain. So, and that's how that's where Oro.edu came from. So, with that, I'll pass back to Amar.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. So you know what we'll do now is that I'll just share a couple of slides about Oro.edu, and then we also have a number of our colleagues who've joined from the IITs and some of the other colleges. So we have quite a large workforce here in India, and you'll also get to hear from them and their experiences, you know, having worked in Oro. Other than Oro.edu, we have a number of other ventures as well, which may be of interest to you. So I'll just touch on 3-4 slides on Oro.edu. We'll pause to see if there are any questions at that point, and then we will go through the broader Oro ecosystem, and then we'll ask some of our colleagues. You know, they're all your age. I mean, some of them are alums as recently as last year, but we have some senior alums as well who've been working with us for now 3, 4, 5 years. So you'll get a chance to hear from them as well, and then we'll also have Q&A at the end. So with that, I will. I think sharing is disabled on this Teams, Ritu. So I'm not able to share any slides from this meeting. Let me just ask Abhishek if we can turn that on. Abhishek, you have the access, so you'll have to. So yeah, I'm live on. So I'm trying to share a few documents. I think for this link you've blocked any sharing. So can you turn that on?
I'll turn it on.
Yeah. So he's just going to turn it on for me. I think because we have so many people joined, we didn't want to have that shared on. I think you've disabled Ritu's mic as well. She's asking you to turn that on. So yeah, so I think I should be able to share. Just a one friendly reminder that, you know, there's still 236 people on this Teams meeting. As you can see on the chat, we're requesting everyone to join the live YouTube web stream, and then you can disconnect from this. So if everyone who's still on the Teams, there's Now only 3 people left, so I think everyone heard that, which I'm happy to hear about. That was quite sudden, but anyway, I'm going to share. So I'm assuming everyone's left from here mostly and gone to the YouTube session, and now I'm going to share my screen with a few slides. Let me know when you can see the screen. Are you able to see my screen right now?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yep. Great. So this is Oro.2 Sigma. So one of the big innovations here. So as you can see, it's myself, Amar, Martin, and Shree, who's one of our IIT graduates, who's the CEO of the company. So as you can see, right, there's a lot of opportunity even for young people like yourselves to lead global exciting ventures like these, and not just be stuck in some very big company as one like cog in the wheel, and just be following orders. I mean, the world is really changing. So today, if you're ambitious, if you're talented, if you have big dreams, then you can at a young age be the CEO of a company like Oro.2 Sigma. So here's one of the slides that I think a lot of you will relate to, and it touches on some of the pain points that we have in India, and frankly, as Martin was saying, in many other developed countries like Brazil, most of Southeast Asia, but even in the US and the UK, as you'll see the data here. So in India, only 51% of graduates were deemed competent for hiring in a large survey that was done with employers. In the USA, 40% of master's graduates leave with no job at the end of their course. In Asia Pac overall, you can see what the numbers are in China, South Korea, Singapore, etc. So that's the employability problem. In fact, if you were to just Google it yourselves, right now, even in the IITs in the last few years, like you find that 30, 40, 50%, even in the leading IITs, not even the second level IITs, but we're talking Delhi, Bombay, Kanpur, Kharagpur, of the class is not finding jobs. And in the other tier 2, tier 3 cities, the problem is even universities, the problem is even more acute. So that's the one problem, which is just of lack of employability coming out of universities. The other issue is a little bit more nuanced, which is that even if you are employed, there's a lot of disguised unemployment, which means that people are stuck in jobs where they're either not happy or they're just they didn't have any other options, or it's not a good fit for their skill set. The education system in India, as you know, forces you at a young age. So when you're in class 10 to choose, science, commerce, or humanities, and then you sort of get stuck in that silo, sometimes all your life, and that may not be the best thing for you. So that's another pain point. And then the third pain point is that, even after you come out of these universities, it's teaching you very old, outdated academic courses and curriculum. It does not have the skills that you need to perform in the marketplace. And so there's generally a skills switch. So you can see that's true across India, across the US, and across Asia Pac. So now, what is the solution? So the solution is, Oro.edu, and I'm sure you might ask, like, what's different about Oro.edu than Coursera or Udemy or many of these other MOOCs that you might have seen. So I'll just share the answer with you up front. Sometimes we sort of share it later in the meeting. But the difference is that one, we were built, more recently, so we're natively AI, whereas a lot of these other MOOCs were built, 4, 5, 6 years ago. So they're still sort of Web 2.0 and are not natively built through AI. So we have a lot of AI natively in the app, right from curriculum development to having a friendly AI tutor who's your peer, who helps you in that learning process. The other and the most profound difference is that it's not just teaching you physics, chemistry, math, or anything. It's only teaching you courses that through our data scraping, we have learned are being demanded by employers in the marketplace. So we've kind of inverted the problem. We look at where the jobs are, right? we look at where the higher paying jobs are, and then we create courses based on that, and then it's one journey. So so the big thing here is, you have EDU, but then we also have Oro Talent, which is our jobs and hiring company. And even amongst all of our ventures, we have quite a lot of positions that we can offer people who are getting trained in Oro.edu. But then we also have a massive marketplace where, you study courses that are designed to give you the skills that are desired in the marketplace that will get you a job. And then we also help you get that job. So as soon as you do these courses, you start seeing some jobs that are eligible for you, where you can immediately start earning incomes from those jobs as well. The other big, and the last slide I'll discuss before I turn it back to Ritu, is that the big innovation on the core education side is also this Nobel-winning paper by Benjamin Bloom that found that there's a 2 sigma. Sigma is standard deviation. So I'm sure many of you who are in engineering courses have done math understand what a standard deviation is, right, in a distribution. So there's a 2 sigma increase in learning outcomes if you go from the traditional level of education to mastery learning. So mastery learning is basically one where you don't go on to the next course or the next chapter even until you've understood the contents and concepts taught in the previous chapter. If you do that, and that alone, that will already give you a 1 standard deviation improvement in your learning outcomes. The second improvement is that if it is possible to have a dedicated tutor who can help you problem solve your doubts, that leads to another 1 sigma improvement. Now, earlier, it was just not viable. It was too expensive to have a tutor for every student in the world, right? But now with some of the innovations in AI, we've been able to create an Oro AI tutor that is dedicated to each student. So that gives us another 2 sigma improvement in learning outcomes, which is why the company is called Oro 2 Sigma. Now we're partnering with institutions like Stanford, where Martin and I went, and the IITs to also look at a lot of the academic research that's been done in the space of AI in education to be able to make this journey most fulfilling for all of you. So with that, I will turn it back to Ritu, or we could pause here to see if there are any questions at this time already. So if you have any questions, what's the best way to do that? So they should comment on the YouTube channel. How do they ask questions? Should they write a comment on? Yeah. Oh yeah. So I think some questions have come as well. So I see Abhay Singh Bisht is asking, is it for students with marketing background? No, Abhay. I mean, it's for students with lots of different backgrounds, right? So as you would have seen from the pre-placement chats, we have several courses that are already with you. So we have, front-end developer, back-end developer, blockchain, product manager, business analyst, sales. So it's certainly not for people just with marketing background. And as you will see, once you download the app, so if you go to oro.edu.com and download the app, Android or Apple, you'll also see all of the courses that are available. So they're under 2 large sort of categories. One is digital and the other is finance and investing. So within those 2 categories, you'll find a vast array of courses, and each course will lead you to a different kind of job. So we have a question coming in from Pradeep. Yeah, the location is in India. Is correct. It's actually even bigger than that. The location can actually be global. So as you know, Martin is he's from England, but he's calling in today from Brazil in Sao Paulo. And we have folks who are applying from Brazil as well. The jobs are also global. So the way I like to describe it is that we're now in a world where I call it, you might have heard of what a flash mob is. So you're all young, Gen Z and Alpha. You know what a flash mob is, right? A flash mob is suddenly, you're proposing to your girlfriend and you want to get married, and then suddenly a crowd appears and you've all choreographed, some dance, and you try and get your your partner saying yes. So we now believe that we're now in the world of flash jobs. And what does that mean is that at any time, given the the remote work from home culture that we have, at any time, if a client, if an employer in Sao Paulo, or a small medium-sized enterprise company in England, or a bank in India needs a certain type of job done, and they can define certain skill sets that are needed to do those jobs, we know who has done what courses on Oro.edu. We know the workforce that we have ready to operate at any time. And so immediately we'll create, these flash jobs, and the AI, sometimes even before us, will quickly get the right person from all the students that have done these courses, and create those teams that can then service that employer who has the flash job.
Yeah, and can I, Amar, just to augment that? I mean, I think that's absolutely right. We are in a. I mean, that's absolutely it. We've really got. We're trying to make it as frictionless as possible, which opens the opportunities for our people as much as we possibly can, and that means global. We've got the technologies there. Similar to the earlier comment that you answered, Amar, I think that's also right about equally with who can do the courses. Obviously, we're going to be getting a lot of undergrads, a lot of learners who might want to augment what they're doing. It might not be specifically what they're doing, but they want to add a skill set to it, and that's absolutely for them. We want to bring them through so that they do have that dimension to them, and that puts them in position to get that earning once they've got those, once they've cleared those courses.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of questions coming in. So we'll continue to take some questions, and then we'll give it back to Ritu to bring on the other alumni. So you can also hear from, Martin and I are slightly older folks, but you can hear from the other young people who've been working at Oro, and you can hear about their experiences. And also you can hear about the other ventures that we have within Oro, the other companies like Oro.edu. But okay, so let's see, we've got a question from Sneha Srivastava. What is the location for joining? So Sneha, we already answered that question earlier, which is that, it really, there is no restriction on that. You can be pan-India. In fact, you can be global. So you can apply from anywhere. Ali Askur Hussain is asking, how is the interview process going to take place? Yeah. So, it's a multi-pronged process. So in the first process, we have, we have some tests. So we basically request you, based on which job you've applied for, to take a course in Oro.edu, and we'll see how you perform, and we look at your sort of, it creates a report card at the end of your course, and that will be the first stage evaluation. At that point, students will get shortlisted to round 2. In round 2, there will be more of a more of a thought-provoking intellectual exercise where you'll be given a puzzle to solve, and we'll see, depending on which type of job. If you're doing something in the digital side, if it's coding related, you might get a blockchain problem, or you might get a live problem on the back end with Python, or depending on whatever you applied for. If it's a product manager role, we'll actually try and see, we'll give you a live case study where you're the product manager. You have to interact between front end, back end, CI/CD, which is the continuous integration, continuous notation. You then have to interact with sales. You have to interact with business development. So we give you a little case study and see how of course, we realize that you don't have any prior experience, but we'll see how you solve a certain problem. And then the last round is just a live interview with some member of the team, and then you get a job. We've already this year, already given out 10 offers, and I think Ritu will be sharing on the YouTube some of the students who've gotten the offers. So I'll also suggest that you subscribe to the Oro AI YouTube channel. So you'll start seeing broadcasts of some of the folks who've already gotten offers from the campaign. Okay, we've got Dhruv Rastogi asking, can we go with the main responsibilities of a front-end developer? Yeah, sure, Dhruv. So, in front end, the technologies that are most at play right now are React.js. If you're doing anything in the mobile environment, obviously HTML, CSS. If you're doing anything on the web environment, and then for mobile app development, it used to be React Native, which was the old Facebook language, but now most people have gone to the Google protocol, which is agnostic across languages. So with Google, you now don't need to have a separate code for your Android app, have a separate code for your Apple iOS, and have a separate code for your web. I can basically handle all of that in one instance. So those are the main technologies at play. In terms of your interactions, obviously, there's a separate UI UX designer who does a lot of the front end visualization, and then typically does a wireframe where they share the initial draft of what it looks like, and then once that's finalized, you pass it on to the front end developer to actually code it, and you'll hear actually. So we've got a very talented front end developer, Aditya Kumar from IIT Delhi. So after I speak, you will hear from him shortly as well, and he talks about.
Okay, Martin sir, do you have anything else to add to the discussion?
Yeah, Amar's gone on mute there.
Oh, okay. Sorry. When did I go on mute? I was just speaking. I think
about 10 seconds, about 15 seconds ago.
Oh, sorry. I think, are you doing it from your side? Okay. Yeah. So sorry. What was the last thing you heard from me, Martin?
You mentioned about our internal. Was it Abhishek who will be able to speak? Who will be able to come on and speak a bit more? Yep.
Yeah. No, not Abhishek. Aditya Kumar from IIT. So he's going to talk to you about his experience as a front-end developer. Abhishek just came in and he just reminded me that we have a lot of students on the well, I think everyone's now off the onto the YouTube. So don't ask questions on the Teams. You need to ask questions on the YouTube platform, where of course I can see a lot of questions. So Kumar Gautam is asking, what will be the responsibility for business and investment analysts? Yeah. So that's a pretty exciting opportunity. So on the investment side, I don't know how many of you follow markets, but we're going through a big market meltdown right now, globally actually, especially in the US. So the Nasdaq, which is the biggest technology index in the world, has dropped about 12%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is the equivalent of the Bombay Stock Exchange in the US, is down about 8%. Companies like Tesla and Palantir are down 30 to 50%. These were some of the darlings of the stock market. So a lot of people have lost quite a lot of money. And so, why am I telling you this? Because, it's really exciting time for investment analysts, because if you can make volatility your friend, then you can make, what we call sort of generational wealth, because you're getting a lot of good companies for sale right now. And as Warren Buffett used to say, you've got to, when there is blood in the water, that's the best time to act and invest. And but the tricky thing about these kind of situations is that you don't know where the bottom is going to be, right? And that's why investing is hard. So I'll tell you a story about Peter Lynch, who was one of the greatest investors of our times. So during the 1978 crisis, he had this investment thesis on a company which is very similar to sort of Chipotle. If you're familiar with Chipotle, it's sort of a fast food company, but this was more on the Mexican fast food side. And the stock had already fallen from $15 to $7, and he made an analysis and said that, look, the fundamentals of the companies are very strong. The number of stores, outlets that this company is having have only grown, and the company has no debt. So he thought that the intrinsic value of the company was around $10, and he was getting it at $7, right? And actually, we've been one of the biggest investors in Domino's Pizza in India, and we had a similar thesis in one of the last crises that we invested in. But here's investing hard. So he started buying the stock at $7, and by the time the downturn was done, the stock went to $1, right? And a lot of people who don't understand what they're doing or who haven't done a good job analyzing the company would have gotten scared and would have had an emotional crisis and probably sold the stock and gotten out. But he was very convinced that the company was doing well and that this was an adverse market reaction. So he kept adding to his stake. So he dollar cost averaged into the position, and then he ended up once the market recovered, ended up exiting that stock at $54. So he made like over 50 times his money. So that's what I'm trying to say. These can be generational wealth type opportunities. So on the investment side, right now you have Donald Trump, introducing all these tariffs and trade wars with what was historically, some of his best friends. So Canada, which is right across the border and almost like considered an extension of the US, is now at war, at an economic trade war with its neighbor, the US, because Trump has put in tariffs not only on the Chinese goods, but also on Canadian and Mexican goods. And now there's talk about doing the same with India and so on and so forth. So everything in the world has become 30 to 50% more expensive. And a lot of economies can't handle that kind of price because somebody put a tariff. And so the world is starting to go into recession. So, we don't know how this plays out, right? And so that's why, and being an investor sounds cool, but it's hard. And you kind of have to make a call about, how things will pan out. But even more than that, I think you have to make a call on what you're investing in, how well do you know it, and do you have conviction to invest through the cycle. So for those who are applying for the investment roles, the first role is to basically pitch a stock that you like, or it could even be a crypto currency. Maybe you think Bitcoin is going to like 1 million, like Elon Musk does, or you could think that SpaceX is going to double in the next few years, or you can think that Tata Motors is going to do really well because of electrification of cars coming into India, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to pitch a stock, and then we basically analyze which were the best pitches. You also have to give a target price for the next 1 year, where you think the stock will end up, and that is a quantitative way in which we'll evaluate how the investment thesis worked out. So MG is asking, what about a full stack developer role? So we certainly have full stack developers. I don't know if Aditya Pratap or Jatin, for example, are going to be talking to them today. But don't we have a full stack role in the placement cycle? MG is asking, don't we have a full stack developer role as well? Yeah. So it's already been given out. Yeah. So then please check with your college placement cells. But yeah, there is very much a full stack developer role. It's one of the more challenging roles because that guy needs to learn the backend languages, which is your Pythons and your Javas, and then needs to learn the full stack languages. The front end languages, which are your React.js and your HTML and your CSS. So that role is already there.
Amar, can I just add to your earlier answer as well? I think there may be a number of people on the call who've come, they might be thinking of some of those business analyst investment type roles, but have maybe they've got some background, maybe accounting and that side of things. I mean, just to add to what you're saying is that those sort of roles can be very much open to people coming from that end, because it's some of the skills that they're looking at are really building on the similar skills. How can you understand and read a balance sheet? Do you understand how a cash flow works? Can you analyze a business and look at the key drivers of where value is? And so basically, there's so the idea that it might be called, we term it investment, very much some of those are kind of also touch on a lot of the finance type roles. So if you are in that category, if someone has maybe studied or is studying accountancy or some related field, investment skills can be readily added and augmented to what you offer through the courses that we do and place you in position for those roles.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's a great point. So, you could be studying, finance, accounting, tax. You could just have, you could just be an engineer. You could do anything. And, the way I think about investing today is that it is a skill, just like, brushing your teeth or, being able to get an insurance policy or, regardless of what you're doing, to have some base understanding of finance and investing is important, especially investing, because, think about it, like, it is so, there's this rule, which is 100 minus your age should be your equity allocation. So, many of you might be in your early or mid 20s, right? So the rule is that if you're 25 years old, then 100 minus 25, which is 75% of whatever savings you have, it could be a small number, should be in equity, because you've got quite a long-term, runway ahead of you. And so you should be earning, some return. So if you think about it, right, out of the, the 200 people, I'm not on mute. You can hear me, right, Martin? You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So out of the 200-year history that we have in stock markets, the indices, right? So whether it's Bombay Stock Exchange or the Dow Jones Index, that has outperformed 100% of the time, but over long periods of time. So it's hard to lose if you're invested over a long period of time in the stock markets. They tend to go up. And so if you are even a doctor or an engineer and you're not invested in the stock market, right, inflation will eat up, in India, inflation runs at 5 to 10%, will eat up 5 to 10% of your money every year, right? So you're just being a good student or a good employee, and you're just going to your job and you're doing your thing. And every year, in addition to the tax man, right? So our beloved finance minister will come in and take some percentage of your money away, because that's just how countries work. You've got to pay tax. But then inflation will come and take 5-10% of it away. So you have to, know how to invest, whether it's mutual funds or whether it's ETFs, exchange rate funds, or even now, you can start picking single stocks that you're really passionate about yourself. So I think these courses are quite useful for anyone who, in addition to their core strength, wants to learn also how to make their money, make their savings grow for you. Because if you're just going to put it in a bank account, you're going to get like 1%. And so, you lose on a real basis. You lose if inflation is 6, then you're losing 5%. So somebody else asked me the question, what was the name of the company which I mentioned where the stock went from $7 to $1, and then so that company is called Taco Bell. So you can look it up. Taco Bell is one of the leading Mexican fast food chains in the world. So let's see. There's still lots of questions. If I got this opportunity, what will be my life after doing this job? How will I grow further in the same field? So Vansh Rastogi is asking that. So Vansh, I'll take a stab at that, but then I think you'll find it most fulfilling to also hear it from, other students like yourself who took the job, and have been in the job for a few years, and you can hear their life experiences. But my response would be that, if you take a job like this, like one of the many jobs that we have, I think what's unique about it is that you will be in a very fast-paced, innovative, and high impact environment. Like it's a little different from, let's just say, if you joined the Tata Consulting Services or Wipro, and don't get me wrong, these are great companies, and I've invested in them for many years, but you'll be one of like 100,000 people turning up to work every day, and and you'll have your tasks to do, etc. But here you'll be part of much smaller, more nimble teams in different ventures, and you'll also be compensated in addition to just cash. You'll also have skin in the game. Like, Martin and I are big believers in the concept of having skin in the game, which means that equity in your ventures. So almost everyone in our organization has some equity ownership in the company, and that's frankly where all the money, the wealth is made. Like you can earn money in a job, it pays the bills, maybe it helps pay the rent, but you build savings and wealth through having equity ownership in the company. The second thing that we do kind of think about is we look at your overall professional development and career progression. So it doesn't mean that if you start off in a front end role, you'll always remain in a front end role. So there'll be opportunities even in this, either in the same venture or in other ventures to maybe become a full stack developer. Like maybe you've already mastered the front end for a few years and now you want to turn to the back end. So we actually run. It's somewhat unique because again in India the concept doesn't really work, where you get employers to also give feedback to employees to give feedback to the company. We actually have that. So we have something called 360-degree feedback. So we get the workers, the employees, to provide feedback to the employer. So we have this feedback form, and in that we ask them, please, tell us about your own professional development goals, and then we try and incorporate that in future tasks and assignments that are given to you. So before I take the next question, just one question for Abhishek and Ritu. I know we still have to get the other team members on board. There's no timing to this session, right? It's not like it'll lapse or anything, right? Yeah. Okay, so we're good to go there. And I think Ritu is having some audio issue. Can you look into that? Yeah. Yeah, so that she can take it over from here. So we're going to pass it on to Ritu shortly. But let's take the final, I'd say, 3-4 questions. So I think Idea Born is asking, what are the credentials to log into the Oro AI website? I missed the question is scrolled up now, but it's asking for the credentials to log into the Oro AI website. Yeah. So, Oro AI is kind of the parent company. It has many ventures, and but for this call, the relevant link is oro.edu.com. So, as you can see, Abhishek and Ritu have put that in the chat. So please log in at that one, and you can kind of look around and then download the app, and and do one of the courses that you think is apt for you. So Dhruv Rastogi is asking, thanks for taking my question. Are there job offers for 2026 MCA pass outs after the internship, or is it just internship? No, not at all, Dhruv. So the best way to get a full-time offer at Oro.edu is to actually do an internship with us. We get a chance to see you, and you get a chance to see us, and then we tend to make full-time offers. Of course, that's not a prerequisite, but quite often that's the way it works. So even some of the alumni of ours, some of our colleagues you're going to meet, many of them actually were an intern before they became a full-time employee. Yeah. So actually, Martin, I'll let you take this one. The question is, sir, you already know AI is taking all the jobs in future. Is AI really affect these roles as well or not? So he's asking if AI is going to impact the jobs that we are currently seeking today.
Right. No, great question. I mean, basically, there's so much out there on AI, what AI is going to do, and the short answer is going to be transform almost every type of career going, just about, right? Maybe not in some kind of, I don't know, working in a restaurant, something like that, perhaps, but then robotics will deal with that. So everything's getting affected. So the short answer is the type of companies that you'd be working with, to the extent that they can embed and use AI, will be doing so. So the roles that we have and that you'll be doing are the ones that are not there to be taken by AI. They need humans with skills that are, if you like, essential, even though maybe 10 years ago, a chunk of what you might have been doing in those organizations would now be over with it, would be in the remit of AI. So AI is a brilliant thing. It's something that it's a bit scary, but what we're trying to get people to think is, no, actually, in the same way as we use AI tutor, who's a peer, and if you like, AI is your friend, that's how we want to try and get people to think about it. It's not going to take anything. It's going to take away the less good aspects of work and stuff that can be done better by AI. It's right that goes there, but no, there's essential roles for humans with human thinking, critical skills that only they can do, interacting, interpreting what other humans want for a business or to develop an idea, and those won't be going by AI, and you won't be doing something that is then redundant in a year's time or 2 years' time. Absolutely not. But we try and encourage you to think, for anyone to think differently about what AI is. AI is a positive force, and it's there for you. And we want our people to feel that, and it's helping them get ahead. So, Amar, yeah.
Hey, and also, like, I've just invited one of our senior AI ML engineers. So I don't know if you can see Nikhil well. Yeah. So he can also talk a little bit about what we're
Okay. I think we have an issue there. Am I audible to everybody else?
Yes, sir.
Sorry,
You're
guys.
audible.
I think I.
Oh,
I
right. He's
dropped.
back. Okay.
Yeah. So we got Nikhil, who is a senior engineer with us on the back end side. So who is it? Somebody asked a question about AI/ML as well. So Nikhil, you can maybe talk a little bit about.
For example, right now the feature that we are developing is news feed. And as you know, it is a ranking problem, and oftentimes people either use random forest or XGBoost for that. So we do employ AI ML for these sort of things where it is applicable. So for example, in this diagnostic test approach, we have employed some ML to determine which questions will match the current uh, learning rate of user. And especially for the newsfeed part, we have developed our own algorithm which works on the basis of uh, cat boost and a little bit of XG boost. So there's that. Yeah.
Okay, great. So maybe at this time we can, instead of taking more questions, we can always take them later. We can bring on some of our other colleagues. So Ritu, maybe you can play that. You can bring on the other folks through the video. She audible?
Sure, sir.
Oh, good. Yeah, she's on. Great. Yeah. that last question was from John from IIT Jaipur about the generative AI and machine learning positions. So Nitin Chaudhary is asking what technical and soft skills are the most important for excelling in this internship? Yeah, it's a great question, Nitin. So, in terms of the technical skills, obviously that depends on which particular course, which particular job you've applied for, and then so that associated technical skills. So as somebody asked, if you're applying for a front-end developer, then knowing Flutter, which is the then Flutter is important. If you're learning backend, then Python is important. If you're a product manager, then basically project management becomes quite important. So being able to talk to different teams across the back end and the front end, and the sales and business development and cloud management. So you kind of, it is quite a high pressure job because you're at the center of it all. And the C-suite is also depending on you to kind of meet the deadlines with the project. But in terms of soft skills, so the long and short is, the technical skills obviously are related to the particular job that you're looking for. But the soft skills, and I'll let Martin maybe touch on that because he's really, done that in an official capacity for Pricewaterhouse and Coopers as well globally. So he's, really mentored a lot of young people. So yeah, Martin, you want to take the soft skills?
Yeah. I mean, the soft skills, in a way, I find the term soft skills almost puts it down a bit, almost like an add-on to anything else. And certainly my experience is that the soft skills are really, really important in just about any job, right? Now, I appreciate that primarily a programmer or a back-end developer is primarily hired for the deep technical know-how. There's no question about that. That is essential and expected. But that person to really rise in an organization, that is just not enough. They really do need those sort of soft skills. And I don't even like the term soft skills. I mean, these are skills to do with, what I'm saying, is communication, teamwork, patience, getting.
Mostly using Python, and we work closely with databases like Redis and Postgres to implement efficient data storage and retrieval mechanisms. And for CI/CD pipelines, we mostly work with Ansible, GitHub Actions, and Docker to design CI/CD pipelines that automate testing and development, as well as the monitoring procedures. So yeah, handing over to Nawaz, he can guide you more on the backend side.
Yeah. Hey guys, so I'm Nawaz Zafar. I'm a lead Python developer in Oro.edu. So the product that we are building is OEMS, which is Order and Execution Management System. So a brief background on me. So I'm also
PwC for
2023
17 years.
Me and Aditya were in the same batch, and we got selected for Oro Digital, and it has been a great experience as we got to learn a lot about algorithmic trading and how the system works, and how like crypto is redefining the future, as we say, and we are building as we are. So the backend stack is mostly Python based, where we have a lot of different Docker containers which manages different services. So we have balances, we have algorithm execution, we have exchange management, and we have everything in between. And we also have a very interesting decentralized integrations as well. So yeah, overall, my experience in Oro Digital has been very great. I got to learn a lot here. So over to you, answer.
Yep, thanks. 100 to about 105 centralized exchanges, about 120 DEXs, all the large OTC desks, and many of the large qualified custodians around the world. We've got two of our colleagues, Aditya and Navas from Oro Digital, who will also talk about their own experience from that. The IMS is an investment management system that is actually been moved from the US. It's now headquartered in Luxembourg. It's a marketplace for asset managers to raise capital. AIML is that's artificial intelligence machine learning platform to create a suite of prediction models for digital assets. So it's everything from GANs, WHANs, LSTMs, transformer models, where we essentially predict the price of digital assets and also invest in them. Oro.edu is another flagship venture. It has essentially disrupted the education space by creating a fully native AI app that curates a customized curriculum for students, everyone from class 11 upwards to professionals. And it also has a powerful learn to earn model where we are focused on a big problem in India, which is that a lot of the engineering colleges are half empty, and even the folks that are enrolled have less than half of the class actually finds a job after they graduate. Less of a problem in IIT, though we've actually seen that same phenomena play out in the ITs as well to a lesser extent. So we've got two of our colleagues from Oro.edu, Nikhil and Shresh, with us as well to talk about their experience. I'll run through the others pretty quickly. The idea is just to give you a flavor of all of the types of innovation that's happening within the Oro group. So Oro.ai is a robo-advisor. So it's a fintech asset manager. Ideal Development is a co-innovation and co-working company. Oro Yoga is a health tech company. Shub.in is one of India's leading content publishing and book publishing companies. Oro Bridge is a German company that is one of the first to issue fully licensed tokens that tokenize real estate infrastructure and green bonds in Europe. Or a bet is a betting platform, which is a prediction markets for real world events, like who wins the US election, for example. Or a Sui Clear is a JV with Sui, which is a spinoff from Facebook or Meta, as they now call it. Oracle is a venture where we essentially have a very deep data lake of pricing of various types of assets that we provide to various protocols. Oro Dex and Oro Liquid are our proprietary Dex aggregator, where we basically have algorithms that are able to get the best price from multiple liquidity pools. And the last point is that the ones in all caps are Web3, and the ones in non all caps are basically Web2 projects. And so as you can see, AI and blockchain sort of run prominently across all of these companies. So with that, I'll pause and pass the mic on to Oro Digital. So Aditya Nawaz, whoever wants to kick off. And both of them are, senior team members of ours now, who joined us right out of college and, can share their experience. We also have one of the CEOs of one of our ventures called the Oro IMS on the line. Charlie, are you there?
I am. Nice to meet everyone. I can just give a little background on myself. Is that what you like more?
Yeah. that'd be great. Yeah.
So Charlie Phippen, I'm here outside of New York City, in the state of Connecticut, actually. So welcome everyone. Really happy to see everyone on the call, and it's exciting to talk to such a great group. My background is I have about 25 years in finance. So I've worked at big firms like Goldman Sachs, UBS, BNP Paribas as a trader, and then moved more into management and running businesses. So I just was running as the CEO of a firm called Water Tower Research. And now we're working with Amar, and we're looking to expand that business as well. So nice to meet everyone.
Hi guys, I'm Aditya and I graduated from IIT Delhi in 2023. My major was in mechanical engineering, and since then I'm a full stack developer at Oro.edu, where I contribute to both backend and front-end system, as well as I am responsible for managing the CI/CD pipelines as well. So let me tell you about briefly what our day-to-day looks like. So for front-end development, we ensure that our platforms are user-friendly and visually appealing by building intuitive and responsive interfaces. We work extensively with React.js, TypeScript to create seamless user experience, and we also have a significant focus on performance optimizations as well, because in order to remove the UI latency as much as possible so that our clients can use our tools effortlessly. On the backend side, we develop robust APIs mostly using Python, and we work closely with databases like Redis and Postgres to implement efficient data storage and retrieval mechanisms. And for CI/CD pipelines, we mostly work with Ansible, GitHub Actions, and Docker to design CI/CD pipelines that automate testing and development, as well as the monitoring procedures. So yeah, handing over to Nawaz, he can guide you more on the backend side.
Yeah. Hey guys, so I'm Nawaz Zafar. I'm a lead Python developer in Oro.edu. So the product that we are building is OEMS, which is Order and Execution Management System. So a brief background on me. So I'm also a 2023 graduate. Me and Aditya were in the same batch, and we got selected for Oro Digital, and it has been a great experience as we got to learn a lot about algorithmic trading and how the system works, and how crypto is redefining the future, as we say. And we are building as we are creating the future. So that's pretty interesting. We are not as we are creating new innovative solutions in the backend space. So the backend stack is mostly Python based, where we have a lot of different Docker containers which manages different services. We have balances, we have algo execution, we have exchange management, and we have everything in between. And we also have a very interesting decentralized integrations as well. So yeah, overall my experience in Oro Digital has been very great. I got to learn a lot here. So over to you, answer.
Yep, thanks, Nawaz. So maybe we can now move to Sree, who can talk about his experience at Oro.edu.
Yeah, okay. So hi guys, I'm Suresh Jaiswal and I'm working at Oro.edu. So Oro.edu is basically the edtech side of Oro, and we are creating this platform for upskilling, and I'm working here as a product manager. So if you have seen the app of Oro.edu, I have designed it completely. So Oro.edu, with Oro.edu, we are trying to achieve, to create a platform for, everyone who wants to learn, and as well as, uh, uh, connect with the jobs, internships, freelance opportunities. So in a way, we are trying to fill the gaps between, learn to earn. Because you have seen like people in the market, they are learning from various platforms. Some they are learning from YouTube and everything. But learning is just the first step, right? So after learning, you need to connect with the right opportunities as well. So with that goal in mind, I started working already. So before that, like I have 6, 7 years of experience. I passed out in 2018. So initially, I was working in edtech sector of like K-12. So we were building a product for JEE, NEET, and those exams. So I have myself cleared those exams. So I started with that domain. So, but like from last 2 years, I have been working in this upskilling sector. So for mostly college students and professionals. So the very good thing about Oro.edu is we are trying to use the latest technology like AI, as you have seen. Like AI is it has gotten so much power now. So we are leveraging AI in Oro.edu and trying to build a platform where where AI can assist you in a way which is so personalized, and it knows everything about you, and can help you at every step. So Oro.edu is not just about learning. AI is along the way, and it will help you with doubt solving, revision, and it will create you custom courses. Like if you give a if exam and you see you have some weak concepts, so it will create you a custom course just for those weak concepts, dedicated for you, personalized. And also we have built this engagement on our Oro.edu app, because learning is just one part. Engagement is something where you actually explore the other side of learning. So the whole app is gamified and fully increased. So you can connect with other people. You can talk to experts in chat rooms, and there's e-money or a coin system in the app. So in a way, this app is, a whole platform what we need at this time, because there are so many platforms. But Oro.edu is something, it starts with the learning part, and then tutoring, mastering, and then at the end it's the earning. So we are connecting learning to earn. So we are not just uh, a platform which I would say you just go and start a course and learn and finish. So at the end, you will get the opportunities, freelance, full time, and internship and everything. So that's what we are trying to build in order to do. So in the future, like if you're gonna have any doubts related to product, not just the learning part, but any doubt related to the product, like any feature, anything, you can ask me in this meeting. Yeah. So now handing over to Nikhil, it's our backend developer.
Hello. So I'm Nikhil. I passed out in 2016 and have been working for Oro.edu for last 8 months. So the backend architecture of Oro.edu is mostly based on Python and Flask. There are multiple microservices, and the middleware is in Node.js Express. For databases, we sometimes use Mongo, but mostly we use MySQL. And yeah, so for our Gen AI needs, sometimes we use ChatGPT, but most of the time we rely on Gaia.net, which is an uh, open source Gen AI platform where anyone can upload their own models and they can host their own nodes, right? And for some ML-based tasks, we are using BERT and other models. So in the backend, I would say we use multiple tools based on their usage. So whatever the requirement is, we pick the best suitable tool and then we start using it. That's all for backend. Over to Omar.
Right. Thanks, Nikhil. Okay, so you've now heard from quite a few IIT alums who are currently part of our team. We have several, as I said, been working with IITs for over a decade, most closely with Delhi, because that's just close to our one of our data science centers, but with all of the IITs as well. Okay, so with that, we'll break into Q&A in case there are any questions.
Hello, sir. My name is Akash Bhartwaj.
Yeah, hi, Akash.
I'm from IIT Chennai. I'm also a placement coordinator and as well as a student over here. I'm tech student. And my question was like, there are a lot of products that you have just discussed about. EdTech product is the product based on Web3 and Web2. So how does the ideation process goes on for all these products? So in the initial phase, how does that
The what process? Sorry, the what process?
ideation process?
Ideation. Yeah. No, that's a critical part of because we're at the very early stage. So we're at sort of, I mean, the project starts sort of pre-seed, and we typically come in at the pre-seed level. So it's all about ideation. And so what happens is that it's called a venture studio for a reason, as opposed to an incubator or an accelerator. You probably have heard all of these, and I know there are accelerators at IIT as well. Um, so a venture studio, the difference is that in a venture studio, you are kind of not only incubating, but you're also building from within. So what we tend to do is we leverage extensively our own networks of people. And so a lot of the initial ideas and the initial founders come from within the network, as opposed to just, meeting somebody who you don't know at all, and then sort of just investing in their project. So that's the nuance between a venture studio and an incubator. Um, so the template is that uh, 25 years and have done that across, most probably the US, China, and India, but then, also across Western Europe and Asia, Greater Asia. So, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Australia. So have seen a lot of the investment teams that have started early on, in the US. So if you look at the e-commerce team, we've invested in that globally. So, we invested early on in, eBay and Amazon. And then when the biggest opportunity in e-commerce moved to China, we invested in Alibaba, Tencent, Baidu. Uh, and then finally, when the opportunity moved to India, uh, we were part of the biggest cash burn war ever seen in internet history, which was between Flipkart, Snapdeal, Shopclues, Paytm, and Amazon. And so my point is that we've seen a lot of these investment themes play out globally, and we kind of know the pattern, and what has been successful and what can be successful going forward. Of course, the past is not always a predictor of the future, but there's quite a lot of investment acumen because of that in the team. And that's just not myself. There are others who've been part of that journey with me. And so when we ideate in the venture studio, we have a pretty good handle on what we think is a powerful idea, and we tend to first invest in it ourselves. So we seed all of these companies ourselves, and then we allow other external investors to come in. So, for example, in Aditya and Nawaz's company, Oro.edu, we now have two prominent VCs from Silicon Valley, Invertis Capital and Silicon Valley Quad, who've come in and done the subsequent round.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for the question. Thank you. All right. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. Requesting you to please describe the blockchain developer role.
Yeah, sure. So Nawaz, I'll allow you to come in as well, but let me kick it off. So, the languages that we tend to code in most frequently are obviously Solidity, and then Rust. But we're also, given the partnership that we have with Sree, which is the Meta Facebook spinoff, that is all done in language called Move. And then, we're also actually now actively looking for Golang developers as well. So within the blockchain space, those are the four sort of prominent languages that we code in. And then, in fact, one of our hires from IIT, Rohit, who joined us from IIT Delhi, has done some fantastic work in that area. So we built this very cool aggregator, which is a bit like Jupiter, which is which is a DEX aggregator on Solana, which is valued over $1 billion. So that just focuses on 8 to 10 DEXs within within the Solana ecosystem. We've been able to extend that to a number of other blockchains, both EVM and non-EVM. So that's an example of somebody like yourself, coming in and kind of building, with Oro and leveraging all of the contacts that we can bring to bear, the resources that we can bring to bear from the entire ecosystem. So every time we build in the space, we have the benefit of partnering with the blockchains themselves, with the L1s and the L2s. We know many of the founders well. We sometimes get grants from them as well to help us build and innovate. So yeah, that's a very exciting opportunity here.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
What will be the steps of hiring process?
So the hiring process is reasonably kind of structured. So maybe sometimes 2 rounds of exams, and then we filter it down to the interview stage. And then at the interview stage, you have a few senior folks from the team meet with the candidate and assess fit, and then we just extend an offer. So this year alone, we've already extended 10 offers across the IITs, and are looking to make some additional hires coming days.
So, sir, for all the roles that are being present over at Oro, so is the hiring process same, or is it different for every kind of role, basically? Like there is back-end role, front-end role.
It reasonably similar. Structure that I defined is very similar. Of course, the exams that you're giving can be quite different. So if you're applying for a back-end role, you'll get back-end front-end. If you're applying for front-end, you get front-end, blockchain, so on and so forth.
Okay, sir.
Great. So if there's no further questions, we'll leave it there. So thanks everyone for joining and your interest, and we look forward to engaging with you in the coming days.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So Martin and I actually went to Stanford Business School together, and just had a really great life experience in terms of the education we received. And so we were very passionate to do something together in the field of education. And, we really thought that the current education system is broken. Now, of course, you guys are the lucky few who are going to, really good colleges. But frankly, even in the colleges you go to, even in the IITs, about 50% of people who graduate really struggle to find a job after graduation. And out of those who do, many of the employers find that the skills that the students come up come in with are not well suited for the skills they need on the job. And so a lot of time gets spent in reskilling and training the students to get them up to that level. Um, the education system is also a bit outdated. That's our belief. So it's a World War II education system that basically industrializes the process and batches students together by age and through a very rigid framework where you have to very early on in your life choose one stream, and then you're pretty much stuck on that stream for the rest of your life. We believe that especially now with the advent of AI and a lot of tasks getting commoditized, what's far more important is to engender real learning, a real training of the mind, have a multidisciplinary um, capability set that allows you to get things done in the real world rather than a siloed sort of education system that teaches you, sometimes quite often just to answer, questions via rote, or trains you more to be conscientious and do certain types of homeworks and then do well on the exams. It doesn't really um, teach you to be productive in the workplace. And actually, India is a glaring example. So there's a very important paper written by the World Bank about India, where the title is "Where Did All the Education Go?" Because from independence to now, India has massively increased its literacy rate. As you know, certain states like Kerala have 100% literacy rate. And if education was actually leading to greater productivity, we would have seen a massive increase in per capita incomes in India. And so there's been very little correlation actually between higher literacy and a higher productivity growth. Per capita incomes in India are still stuck in Africa type levels. At your $2,000-3,000 per annum, whereas at the levels of if education had actually delivered the productivity growth that we thought initially that it does, we would have been far further than we are now. So anyway, that's just one inspiration that we had to create Oro.edu, which is kind of this alternative way of learning where it's multidisciplinary, it's age heterogeneous, and it's really about teaching you skills and then providing you a job on the back of that. So yeah, wanted to just share one of the ventures and the story behind it. We have a few, but also happy to go back to taking questions. Oh, I think there was a question about the product management role. So yeah, I think Abhishek said it. Clearly, it's not something that requires any coding knowledge per se, but it is a role that will, sit between the coding team, so the front end team, the back end team, the cloud management team, and it does require you to interface with all of the commercial team, the sales team. So with all of the teams, as you spec out a particular idea and bring it to life. So the ability to interact with coders, to speak the language, to understand some of the jargon, is helpful. I mean, it is something you could learn on the job as well. But I guess those folks who have some understanding of some of the jargon that is involved when you're talking with back end team, and understanding what a cloud is, how servers are set up, understanding what CI/CD process is, just at a very high level. So at least you're able to design products by taking into account all of those factors.
Can I just add to Amar's comments there, which I think are very pertinent, hopefully helpful to the group. As Amar said, we met at Stanford. We both got a very deep passion to try to bridge this gap. And it's a gap that both Amar's seen and myself have seen in our work during our consulting days. I was a partner at PwC. We used to recruit graduates every year. And I saw this in real time. We had very smart people coming through with good degrees, but that gap with us being able to deploy them immediately and to get the usage, if you like, get them to in front of clients, there was a gap. And I think that's been increasing for the reasons that Amar has said. So that's where we see Oro.edu come in to try and help talented individuals like yourselves to bridge that gap. The universities and the colleges are really good at helping you to think and to how to think about a problem, but that application is a little bit limited, and for it's not just anecdotal evidence now. There's real evidence coming from this, both from the academic world and from talking to clients in the way Amar said. So that's what we're trying to do. And the other aspect I just wanted to stress is that by in what we're doing through Oro.edu, it's quite rigorous. There will be examinations, not to be too worried about, but we feel that also helps bridge a gap, which is that there has been, in some cases around the world, there's been inflation in some of the gradings, and they cannot always tell who really knows stuff from if there's been an awful lot of people sort of getting similar grades, whereas we feel that's not as realistic as it could be. So the examination side of things, we feel will help people have a credential that when they get a certificate with us, they're definitely able to pass. That will augment what they have in terms of their educational qualification. We see that is not just we're not just embedding the skills in people. We're having sort of a proof, if you like, that they get a certificate, and we think the two of those go together will really be something that will help the youngsters, the talented individuals that we know are out there, bridge that gap and get the employment that we want them to get at the moment some of them are missing out on. I just wanted to stress.
Just to add to that. Yeah. And, Martin also has a PhD in behavioral economics. And, one of the things that we really drill down on is, what we call our 2 Sigma approach. So the parent company of EDU is actually called Oro 2 Sigma. And the 2 Sigma approach is that there's a lot of scientific research that's been done to show that if you can add mastery learning, which is what Martin was sort of referencing, where if students are not allowed to go on to the next next year or next chapter without having at least some mastery of the fundamentals that have been taught in the prior chapter, then that really learning out. In fact, it helps it by 1 standard deviation. And the other is if you can have some individualized tutoring, then that helps by another standard deviation. Now, that was obviously very expensive to do, and the schooling system only achieves that to some degree. But now we've been able to leverage AI to provide individual tutors for every student. And so together we've been able to achieve a 2 Sigma improvement in learning outcomes.